So we're going to make some picks for Coach of the Year. We didn't make it at the start because I think, and I'm going to go on a tiny rant here. I think Coach of the Year falls victim to the same thing that MVP does, where we get a little hung up on the, I guess, record, right? And even though MVP we recognize has a bit of a narrative, I think we ignore that for Coach of the Year, right? So what often happens is we look at a team that either was really bad last season and is now really good, right? So that's the narrative aspect for Coach of the Year, or it's straight wins, right? So a team that finally eclipses 60 wins. So, when we look at the current standings, if I were to, talk them through with you, you've got the Nuggets that are currently top of the West, right? And if they can get to like 60 wins, Mike Malone probably wins it. We could make a very strong case and say it's probably not Mike Malone that's the reason why Nuggets is successful, but it is what it is. We've got, is it Joe Mazzulla on the Celtics, 32 and 12, right? Currently top of the East. You know, why shouldn't he get it? Well, maybe because he took over a team that went to the finals and is pretty much the same and has some MVP caliber talent on it. So I want to give some credit to a coach that is being competitive, not top of their conference, but is competitive, but is getting the most out of their players, which to me feels like the purpose of coach of the year. And that person is Willie Green of the Pelicans, right? So the Pelicans sit third in the West with a record of 26 and 17, right? The reason why I steered into Willie Green is he has a very young team. He has clearly got them to buy in, clearly done his coaching role. But I'm going to say some numbers to you, right? I'm going to start off with 38. 38 is the amount of games that McCollum has played out of the 43 total games. Pretty solid. He's there. He's one of your star players, no issue. Then we move down to Zion. He's played 29 games, right? So instantly we've got a 10-game dip off from one of your other big three players. And then we go down to Ingram, 15 games. So Willie Green is having success with a young team with three potential superstars, maybe one or two superstars and an all-star. But he's doing that without any team consistency. That big three has not played together enough for them to be figuring out what kind of team they actually have. But he has them on a winning record. He has players like Trey Murphy and Jackson Hayes. Like Jackson Hayes was like a weird running joke for a while where he was the 10th pick and he's only ever going to be a backup center. And he's actually a great backup center. You've got Jonas Valanciunas consistently playing what he needs to do. You've got Dyson Daniels come in and instantly become, a formidable role player for that team. Same for Jose Alvarado. That's a team, right? That's well coached, right? Because he came in after Stan Van Gundy struggled to do it, and I think that that's the narrative that needs to be recognized here. I don't see the Pelicans having the best record in the West. I don't see them having a top five record by the end of the season. But I think there needs to be some recognition that what he has done with the players that he has and the limitations that they have had, that that to me is a coach of the year. That's a coaching candidate.
It's funny you mentioned some of these components of why you're picking the Pelicans, and Willie Green definitely seems like probably a coach that will have a long career. I think he's definitely maximizing the talent and the availability of the talent at the Pelicans at the moment this season. And it's really good to see them competitive. And I think I'd pick them as a team that would be much more competitive with Zion back. And it's really good to see them actually, being up the standings here. But when you were naming all those components, all right, I was actually thinking of another team here that probably doesn't have a big three, probably only has a big two. And and I guess I actually didn't even pick this team in the top six in the West. My bad. And I don't think you picked them that high either. Okay, but I'm talking about the Memphis Grizzlies. I'm talking about Taylor Jenkins. And half the time people play go, who the hell's Taylor Jenkins? That's probably how sort of underrated he is in that to a certain extent outside of Memphis potentially. All right, especially for us, not only in not in the states even. Okay, but the Memphis Grizzlies have been a team on the up for the last few seasons. All right, through obviously player acquisition, through drafting wisely in the draft, and obviously then through obviously developing the players that they have. And I think the one of the great things about the Grizzlies at the moment, they're only half a game out top spot in the West. Okay, we talk about Denver, but they're only half a game out top spot in the West here. Okay, and that even when Jar's out, they win. All right, they actually have a greater winning record when Jar's out, or they have a plus 500 record when Jar is out. They're not solely dependent on him like many other teams. One at the moment is probably like the Suns. With Booker out at the moment, you guys have really slid down something like 1-9 in the last 10 games or something like that. Something shocking. Okay, so I think the Grizzlies here, and I think Taylor Jenkins, all right, should and could, especially if they continue to stay in that top two spot. Okay, again, winning matters. Okay, you talked about, I don't know why winning doesn't matter so much, but it does. All right, that's the reality of sports. Okay, winning matters. And if the Grizzlies continue to hold on to that top two spot in the West, yeah, I think Taylor Jenkins should probably win Coach of the Year.
I I don't hate it, right? I'm going to bring up a little bit of a parallel here. I'm going to bring up 2021, right? Coach of the Year. That went to Tom Thibodeau, who kind of took the Knicks to relevancy. That's how that was portrayed. Came into the similar roster and turned them into a playoff team. They were fifth, but they were a playoff team, and that narrative was enough to drive it. And that took over the narrative of Monty Williams, for example, who took the bubble Suns and then makes them run all the way to the NBA Finals. And yes, the Chris Paul acquisition helps, but there's that aspect. So the reason why I bring that up is that's maybe the fork in the road for voters this year will be, do we give Willie Green his credit right now, this present day credit of he's doing a great job with his team? Or does it become a tiny bit of a historical award for Taylor Jenkins where, you know what, Memphis just keeps climbing. He's doing a great job with this young core. This needs to be now recognized because it's now a 2 season or 3 season body of work opposed to just one.
Yeah, look, you talked about Joe Mazzulla as well. Obviously, it's an interesting name here. He's not even. Is he technically named as head coach, or is he interim? I think he's still got an interim tag attached to him. No, he's just filling in, filling in until they do whatever they do with Udoka next season or end of this season, right? And I don't think his role, just like Jark Vaughan. I know you sort of had a few takes where you're saying Jark Vaughan's impact has not been that significant, and maybe other coaches could have got the same things out of the Nets. But I don't think it's that easy to just come in and just take a team over and take them to where they're at. But look, I think there's also something that needs to be considered, that what you've done over a period of time, and what now this year ultimately your team is achieving. So look, it could go any way though, but it's still too tight to call, isn't it?
Yo, this is Two Guys with Spare Time. I'm Faz, this is Nick. You're probably a basketball fan like us, so hopefully you can throw us an assist and giving our video a like and subscribing to our channel.
And if you got thoughts, feelings, or even some suggestions, please put them down in the comment section below. And thank you for using your spare time to watch us in our spare time.